there's volatility in all international markets because of war, because of geopolitical uncertainty. Is India's capital market also going to face these kind of global shocks?
We are facing shocks every day. In fact, the last year has been very, very challenging year when, we have so many, because everything that impacts India, the companies or elsewhere, it's also impacts this. Today is an interconnected world. And there are lots of capital flows in and out of the country. They are impacted by the global developments, by the global thing. Then there are sectoral issues. Then the whole challenge of AI, which is deeply impacting various businesses. And it keeps happening all the time. Volatility is there, but I must say that volatility in Indian case, if you really look at the Indian capital market, the volatility is not as high. Generally, average volatility is not as high as in some of the other jurisdictions, as the data would show.
And what stress test mechanisms do you put in place to see that we can absorb our shocks, that our markets can absorb these shocks?
That's the markets for.
Okay.
The markets are always, adjusting and looking at this. A certain amount of volatility is inherent in the whole process of markets, because every news, every small thing which is coming out that impacts the stock prices all the time. Truly the fundamentals are changing or not, but the perceptions also make a difference. And the markets, and then sometimes they overreact, sometimes they overcorrect, sometimes so that's the nature of the market, because so much is happening real time, information and inputs from different kinds, and the market is assessing, and there are different market participants who are assessing the same event differently as well.
So when this kind of flux happens in the geopolitical world, do you see that there are companies which they fall short in giving out information or transparency? Do you see that happening?
No, I think the information actually travels very fast, unless there's somebody is hiding something. But in terms of, for example, in Indian case, if you have listed space, there is a mandatory, like SEBI regulations mandate certain disclosures at different points of time under LODR. Also for IPOs, also certain way the disclosures are made. And those disclosures are compulsory. And
do they do the disclosures which are expected of them, or do you have to take measures to make them do it?
Well, sometimes the action is also taken when the disclosure is not there, because there are also complaints that such a thing is not disclosed.
Okay. Finally, I would just ask of you that you complete 1 year. What are your goals for the next year?
Well, we have a rolling thing, and there's so many things already on the offing, several reforms, several regulations being under comprehensive review, market development, investment protection, and market regulation. We are always in action.
For Viksit Bharat, how important is it for SEBI to be playing a role and make Indian markets more in path towards that for developed India?
So capital market is an extremely important instrument. In fact, they are in many sense, they contribute to the economic growth of the country, and also the economic growth of the country also propels the capital market. The more virtuous cycle we are able to bring by creating more opportunities, removing friction, making market more efficient, well regulated, investor trust, more the markets develop in order to support the growth. Because after all, the markets play a key role in capital formation, which is the basis of economic growth.